Right then, welcome back to episode 11 of the world's greatest Bitcoin book club podcast, the HODLing Room. We're reading through the Bitcoin standards still. I am TC. Here's Mike. How's it going?
Yeah, all right, thanks. How are you?
I'm a bit tired this morning.
I got a double coffee today.
Yeah, I'm on the second one already, so not doing too bad. What have you been up to? Working on some vids, setting up the node?
Yes, that is the top priority at the minute. I've gone deep down the rabbit hole of core versus knots.
Really?
Yeah, I've been like really looking into it for a few weeks, but this last week in particular, and just the more I've learned about it, is like, I have to get a node up and running. And so that's really like been the top priority. And then, then it's hopefully helping others to see what is going on. But what I found was really hard in making this video is trying to make it like unbiased because it's that the more you learn about it, it's like it's almost impossible to be unbiased because it just seems stupid.
I know what you mean. All of the stuff that I've been seeing is like very anti-core, but then there has to be a reason for it. It can't just be like overt subversion.
The bottom line is the main reason is at the minute spam, junk, whatever you want to call it, images, random things that are not monetary transfers are getting stored on the blockchain. And so it means that nodes are having to store more and more stuff on them, which makes like the gigabytes more, which means it's going to be more expensive to run a node and blah, blah, blah,
as soon as it's on there, that's it. It's on it forever.
That's it. It's on there forever. Yeah. And so what's happening at the moment is basically there's people that want this junk on there. They're creating new UTXOs. So basically fake Bitcoin addresses is like the easy way to think of, or for me anyway, it's the easy way for me to think about it. And the analogy I use actually is that the book it's like imagine you have a phone book, like the Yellow Pages, old school phone book, and every time someone creates this fake address, it makes that book bigger, the Yellow Pages bigger. So when your node is checking like, does TC have this Bitcoin that he's trying to move, it then has to flick through a way bigger book, and it means that every single transaction that goes through, because of these UTXOs that are being created that are fake and they're just storing junk, it makes that way harder. So it means your node has to work harder, which could potentially mean like the whole thing could mess up. So that is the reason why they're doing it. And so they're saying this is already happening. Core's argument is this is already happening, but there's another way that they could store this junk, and that's through this op return thing. So rather than them making all of these extra UTXOs and clogging up the whole system, and which is could potentially be really bad if this continues for the next few years, they're like, well, why don't we just remove the op return limit and let them go through this other way? Because sure, all the spam will still be there, but it's kind of like, rather than it being stored in your Yellow Pages, which you have to flick through for every transaction, it's just stored in the basement where you store random stuff and you never have to look at it. It's there, but it's not going to slow down all of the nodes and make them overwork.
Is this when some people were saying it's stored in the mempool and not the blockchain or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it gets really techie, and I still don't fully understand all the technical aspects. But basically,
is it the same kind of vibe as like the block size war then?
It's very similar, very similar in a lot of ways, but it is different. Because basically, the thing that was different with the block size wars is it was really easy. Well, not really easy, but it was like obviously going to create a hard fork because it was two different like consensus kind of things. Whereas this change is still going to be on Bitcoin. And the issue is it's opening itself up to illicit material getting stored on the blockchain. And once that's there on everyone's nodes and everyone's nodes, even if you run knots or whatever, it will be stored on your node. And once that's there, you can't just remove it. So basically a hard fork sounds way more complex, and because you'd have to go back in time to make the hard fork. So it means, let's just say illicit content happens today. And then this time in 2 weeks, everyone's like, yeah, we don't want this there. So why don't we hard fork? It means for these next 2 weeks, every transaction that happens on Bitcoin is removed.
Mm-hmm.
And that defeats a massive part of Bitcoin, which is that it should be uncensored, like it should be immutable, or whatever that is, like it should go on forever.
Didn't that happen once in like the Satoshi era where they had to do that or something for some reason?
In 2010, I believe there was like millions of Bitcoin created on one address or something. And so they basically had to go back in time, but I think it was solved within a few hours. And obviously at that time, 2010, there was hardly anything going on. Whereas if you imagine now, 2 weeks worth of transaction, well, it might not be 2 weeks. Maybe people will respond quickly, but I think the thing is that they won't respond quickly because it won't be an issue until the mainstream media picks up on it, and then it becomes socially unacceptable to store to run a node.
It's
and
bad PR, bad optics.
Because technically nothing actually changes from Bitcoin's point of view. Like Bitcoin will still be working. It's just, I don't know, it is disgusting, like what people are talking about and what has been stored elsewhere and stuff. But when you actually think of this again from first principles, it's really only our socially acceptable understanding of why this is legally and morally wrong, if you see what I mean.
Well, if it's possible to put that on there, it's quite obvious that there's a lot of powerful people in the world that don't like Bitcoin. It's a threat to their... So they're gonna use any exploit to bring it down. Of course, it's like, these bankers are not just like, well, I would never touch CSAM. I would never do that. It's like
exactly. And I think this is the point that Core makes.
I would never blackmail anybody.
It's already possible for them to store this on there.
I would never fly to Epstein's Island.
And so, like this is the point that Core are making. It's like you can't stop this. People can already do this. The issue is,
can people already do this?
But the issue is that when they do it in its current format, they're probably going to have to split it across many transactions. Which means it's literally just going to be
random pixels.
Yeah, and then you're going to have to be super techie to be able to put that back together and make like an image be able to see, sort of thing.
Whereas what's this new update going to change?
Whereas this new update will basically mean they can just store it all in one. It still means, like as a guy said in our meetup group the other day, it's not like you'll just be flicking through the mempool, like whatever, and see the image. You'd still need to do some techie thing to actually recover it, but it's significantly easier to do it.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like BitTorrent, where you're not receiving the whole thing, the whole file. It's split into loads of different parts, and you're receiving the different parts from different people, and then, but it's still technically file sharing. It's still technically illegal. Like if I was to download, some copyrighted content via BitTorrent, I guess the authorities could still do me in for it. Although I don't know. Yeah, this was a loophole with the whole file sharing scene.
Yeah.
Back in the day, people were saying, we're not actually hosting the material. We've not got a central server. Like these people that run Pirate Bay and stuff. They were saying we don't actually host any server with this material on. There's a BitTorrent file out there, and that file is on 100 different computers, and one person wants to download that file, they'll get one piece from 100 different people. So it's kind of already out there. But I don't think that defense worked, really. I think,
No. And my point of view and my take on all of this, like file sharing and, like as in stream, illegal streaming. I remember there was some guys in the UK that went to jail because they were basically allowing people to stream all Premier League football games.
I remember that,
£10 a month. Yeah. And I'm just like, that's good business. Like, why are you putting them in jail? Like, they're doing so. Like, the reason they're making millions and millions of pounds is because they're adding real value to the world. Like, it's only because of these like protectionism laws and things like that it's illegal. Like, it doesn't make any sense for it. It's not like they're sharing illegal, illicit content. They're sharing publicly viewable football games for a cheaper price. That is the definition of entrepreneurship. And maybe like, I don't understand everything fully in this aspect. But again, like when you just put it back to first principles, that's what it seems like to me. It's like they're good entrepreneurs and they're going to jail for it.
I guess there could be some argument like, well, you're stealing somebody's product and you're selling.
Why is it someone's products? Like it's, publicly available football games.
Mm-hmm.
It's only these greedy owners of football clubs product. It's only these. It's the sink. It's like decentralization is the way I see it. It obviously it helps these centralized people who are on the inside by having it copyrighted and protected, but it doesn't help everyone. Like everyone would like to watch this, and they're doing
this
a service.
was kind of my argument with like music piracy back in the day, because when Napster came around, like Metallica and those kind of bands were like whinging that, we're not getting any money and everybody's piracy. It's like, well, as soon as that technology became available and you could download music for free, that's it. The cat's out of the bag. People will download and access this stuff for free, whether you like it or not. And piracy is still around to this day. Now, my argument was, when I was like teenager, 18, I mean, even still now, actually, no, let's not say now. When I was a young kid, I used to pirate music for free off the internet, but I've now, I don't do that anymore, obviously. But let's just say like a hypothetical, like for me, I would listen to all this music for free, but then I would still, anything that I actually truly liked, I would go and buy a CD of, or I'd go and buy a T-shirt of, or a vinyl, or I'd go to the gig of this band. So for me, I maybe, downloaded a lot more music than the average Joe, but I also bought a lot more CDs, a lot more vinyl. I went to a lot more gigs than the average Joe because I had access to this music for free, which I wouldn't have otherwise. Like before the internet, I remember going into the like Tesco and stuff, and I'd have pocket money, and I'd buy one CD a month. And I remember like the first CD I ever bought was the Essential Ozzy Osbourne, because I'd seen him on the Osbournes on MTV. I was like, yeah, I'm having this. This is sick. And I'd just listen to that for 1 month, and I'd just be obsessed with this one CD. So when kind of everything became a bit more decentralized, you had access to everything, I bought a lot more. I found a lot more. So it was beneficial, I think, to them, to the artists, because I was discovering it more.
And that is you're literally describing a free market there. Like that is what would happen if everything was free and accessible. If people could watch any football game that they want, the team that they really support or really enjoy watching, they would then go to the odd game, or they might travel abroad to go and see them play. But maybe there's a team in Argentina, which I've never even heard of before, but they might be the most exciting football team at the moment. And so in a free market, I might be able to get to see that. And then I might travel to Argentina to go and watch them play or something, like it's the same thing that you can apply to everything. And
I guess it just changed. It just changes, it's like, well, artists now, they have Spotify, they've got, everybody in the entire world. And this is another thing. Well, I may waffle a little bit, but we'll crack on with the book in a sec. But like people in like the music scene are constantly moaning about Spotify, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'll get 0.001 pence for listening to my song. Like, it's like, yeah, but nobody would have listened to your shitty song anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, you've got the privilege. You've paid £10 to get your album on Spotify, which has got billions of users, a global network. You didn't have that before, but you've now got the privilege of having your shitty little bedroom song in front on a platform of billions of users across the world. So that's it. Like, and you've only had to pay £10. And you're moaning that you get 0.001 pence from that. Like, you should be paying thousands of pounds for that privilege. That's the way I see it anyway. Like, if
equally, this is what Noster's changing, isn't it? Like, because they could, if everyone was using Noster, then the same thing applies. But again, it It applies to free market thinking. Like only something that's valuable, only something that people actually find valuable will actually get listened to and then shared, and then they will receive sats if it is good. And so there's no like on a Noster world, there's no moaning about Spotify because it's not Spotify that is doing it. It's your music that's shit. You know,
exactly. Yeah,
it's the free market speaking to you,
and it's like the truly valuable things will naturally float to the top.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, and it will be the same in everything. And then those truly valuable things will help people, make people richer because it makes things cheaper, and it happens on every single aspect. And it's but I think it's just so unimaginable for the vast majority of people that, and they just think it's utopian. I think no, that's too good to be true. That's not going to happen. Maybe not in the near future, but it's getting there.
Yeah, I can't imagine it. We'll see. I was just thinking about the Silk Road again. You know, that was designed to be like some kind of libertarian free market. I think that what was his guy's name?
When I went to jail.
Yeah, his name was Dread Pirate Roberts on the thing, but what was his name? Ross Ulbricht.
Ross Ulbricht, yeah. I watched a really good. He did a chat in. Was it in
Vegas?
Vegas, yeah. That was really good. I recommend everyone watch that.
He was like hardcore libertarian, so he's basically, I think it was like his master's thesis or like his PhD thesis or something like this. He was trying to create like a truly libertarian free market, and he was doing it online. But then things got out of hand a little bit. That's a book that I need to read. There's a book called Silk Road, which I've got, which fascinating, that whole thing. But yeah, anyway, for now, we're on this one.
Okay, let's do that. Right, can you see that?
I can see it. So we're on saving and capital accumulation, which I think is still chapter 5.
Yeah, I think so. Shall I read this one?
Can do, yeah.
Okay, so one of the key problems caused by a currency whose value is diminishing is that it negatively incentivizes saving for the future. Time preference is universally positive. Given the choice between the same good today or in the future, any sane person would prefer to have it today. Only by increasing the return in the future will people consider delaying gratification. Sound money is money that gains in value slightly over time, meaning that holding on to it is likely to offer an increase in purchasing power. Unsound money, being controlled by central banks who express mission is to keep inflation positive, will offer little incentive for holders to keep it, as they become more likely to spend it or to borrow it. When it comes to investment, sound money creates an economic environment where any positive rate of return will be favorable to the investor, as the monetary unit is likely to hold onto its value, if not appreciate, thus strengthening the incentive to invest. With unsound money, on the other hand, only returns that are higher than the rate of depreciation of the currency will be positive in real terms, creating incentives for high return but high risk investment and spending. Further, as increases in the money supply effectively mean low interest rates, the incentive to save and invest is diminishing while the incentive to borrow increases. I think this is so important for today's world. And I think if you understand these two paragraphs, this explains all of the stress and issues of what so many people have, basically.
Yeah, the two are opposite. They're inverted. You know, this current debt system where you create money by creating credit and debt, which, if you think about it, if you create money via using debt, you're never going to be out of debt.
Exactly. And this is why every country in the world is in debt, every business in the world is in debt, everything is in debt because
money is created from credit
in
from
today's
debt.
world. Yeah, it's bananas.
So you're never going to get out of debt. And if the more money that gets printed devalues your currency, you're never going to save in that.
Exactly. And
Because
I think this is the big shift as well of, again, another massive shift for people to understand is that saving in Bitcoin is not investing. It is saving. You're saving in a money. Bitcoin is a money. And like that's the huge difference. It's the same as when people used to save in gold coins because that was money. They used to earn gold, used to go to work, you earn gold and you save some gold left over at the end of the month. Live below your means, all of that. And then in a few years, your gold still buys the same amount, if not more. And that is the same as what Bitcoin is. And this is why it's so confusing. Everyone's comparing this to our current investments.
yeah,
Like we've been trained to think that we have to, you go to work, you provide value, you earn money, but then you can't just put it in the bank because it will erode. Like what the frick? Who would do that? So like that's so normal now, whereas it's stupid. Like you shouldn't have to have a second job to figure out what to do with your money, which is what we've all been trained to do. Otherwise it just gets worse and worse every year. Anyway, the track record of the 46-year experiment with unsound money bears out this conclusion. When was this book? Is this in 2018?
2017, 18, something like that. Let me have a
It's
look.
54 years now, isn't it?
2018, yeah, this one.
That sound about right? Because it was from 1971. So this track record of the 46-year experiment with unsound money bears out this conclusion. Saving rates have been declining across the developed countries, dropping to very low levels, while personal, municipal, and national debts have increased to levels which would have seemed unimaginable in the past. Figure 12. National saving rates in major economies, 1970 to 2016. So dark black line is Germany. What's that percent?
Yeah.
So it's somewhere around 20%.
Look at the UK. That's on the bottom. UK is literally the lowest. Is it the lowest or is that Switzerland?
So this is the UK here.
Is it not the one at the bottom?
That's
No, that's it. The one above is Italy. The one at the bottom is UK. The smaller like hashes.
Oh right, yeah.
That's
What's
UK.
Switzerland? Oh, Switzerland's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Switzerland have always had quite high rates. So UK started at what's that like 10%,
Yeah.
and now it's less than 0%. Oh my goodness!
So what is this chart showing again?
That's the percentage of the population that are saving.
Okay.
So United States started at around the same as the UK, maybe around 10, a bit less, and they went below 0. 2008. So remember when everyone was taking on debt, no one's saving, and it's come back up to maybe like 2 or 3. But this is
so we're at the lowest.
This is 2016. So
National
there's been another
savings.
9 years since there. So it'd be interesting to get an updated one of that. Only Switzerland, which remained on an official gold standard until 1934 and continued to back its currency with large reserves of gold until the early 90s, has continued to have a high savings rate, standing as the last bastion of low time preference. Western civilization with a savings rate in the double digits, as every other Western economy has plummeted into the single digits and even to negative saving rates in some cases. The average savings rate of the 7 largest advanced economies was 12.66 in 1970, 12.66% in 1970, but has dropped to 3.39% in 2015, a fall of almost 3/4. That's crazy. And this is what the current monetary system is forcing us to do. Because
negative saving rates, does that mean, so is that basically negative saving rates? So they'll take money from you.
Oh no, this is people.
Oh, I'm thinking negative interest rates.
Is this people or is this the national savings rate in major economies? I think this is
it's probably
personal, municipal and national debts.
So it's probably all together.
Yeah. But the point is, if it's in negative, that means you owe more than what you actually have.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And I would imagine, like I say, I want to get an up-to-date chart of this. I'll try and get that in a minute. But I'd imagine this is way worse today. And I'd be interested to see what Switzerland's like. Do you want to read this bit and I'll try and get that up?
While savings rates have plummeted across the Western world, indebtedness continues to rise. The average household in the West is indebted by more than 100% of its annual income, while the total debt burden of the various levels of government and households exceeds GDP by multiples with significant consequences. Such numbers have become normalized by Keynesian economists, assure citizens that debt is good for growth and that saving would result in recessions. Yeah. It's like, trust me, bro, saving would result in recessions. One of the most mendacious fantasies that pervades Keynesian economic thought is the idea that the national debt does not matter since we owe it to ourselves. Well, that's not true either. Only a high time preference disciple of Keynes could fail to understand that this ourselves is not one homogeneous blob, but is differentiated into several generations, namely the current one, which consume recklessly at the expense of future ones. To make matters worse, this phrase is usually followed by emotional blackmail along the lines of, quote, we would be shortchanging ourselves if we didn't borrow to invest in our future. Yeah, this is something people always talk about debt. It's like, well, who are we in debt to?
Yeah.
Like, how does that make sense? It's like, yeah, that's a good question to ask. How is a government in debt? How is a country in debt?
How is every country in debt? That's
Exactly.
the question that got me deep down this rabbit hole.
Exactly. How is every country in debt, and who are they?
Over 10
Are they
years
in debt
ago.
to some bank on Mars or something? Like, no.
It's just it is money today. That's the thing. That's the thing that's so hard for us to understand, is that.
And why can't any country get out of debt? That's another good question. Why can't it get out of debt?
It's just incentivized as well. And it, again, going through like property investment, it helps you to figure all this sort of stuff out, because they talk about good debt and bad debt. But basically, by taking on debt today, you're basically taking on cheap money to pay back way less in the future, because of the purchasing power is going to be. So say it's 100k that you're. Well, let's go back 20 years. Let's say you took out on, you bought a house for £50,000. You have £40,000 of debt on there, and today the house is worth £100,000, but you still only have £40,000 of debt. So it just basically means then you can either just refinance and basically get £50,000 for free without having to literally pay no tax or anything like that. And you can just keep doing that. You just keep rolling up the debt. And that's what, even people with businesses like Elon Musk, he doesn't pay any tax because he'll just take on debt against his business because it's worth something. The business, his businesses are the collateral. So they'll just give him money for free, and there's no tax to pay on that because it's debt. But that's what he's living off. So he can live off millions a year tax free, or multi-millions, and that is literally how the system works.
But then how does he pay that debt off?
He just knows it's going to be worth more in the future.
So then you get another loan.
You get another loan. Yeah. What is it called? Live, borrow, die. Like that's literally the motto for the wealthy. Same with Trump. Same with, especially people in property. That is literally what they do. So like that example I just said, let's say you've got £1 million worth of property. You currently have £800,000 worth of debt, but this time in 10 years, it might have doubled. So now you've got £2 million worth of property, but you've only got £800,000 worth of debt. So now you can just get a new mortgage, debt, whatever you want to call it, loan. It's all the same thing, for 1.6 million. And you've just basically created £800,000 of cash in 10 years, tax free. And so then it just snowballs, and then you can buy more property with that £800,000. And if in those 10 years you were just still working and you're saving at the same time, and then you get this extra money for free because it's tax free.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that I've realized though, is it's almost pointless me trying to figure out the system more and more. It's like I don't want anything to do with this system anymore. It's like all of my time is figuring out what the Bitcoin system is going to look like and what that is, because that is where the future is. Like figuring out the system is almost like living in the past. It's obviously the present at the minute as well. And this is what so many people, you're going to hear it all over the place in the next few years, is don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. And they will use that exact playbook of what I just said to live tax-free. But the thing is, you're giving it up. You're giving the custody to someone else.
Yeah. If you can't pay it off, they take it.
Yeah, and if there's a 50, 60, 70, whatever percent drawdown, you could basically lose some of your Bitcoin. They'll just take it, like you say. Or more realistically, they just won't have it. Like they'll say they'll re-lend it out, and there's the whole rehypothecation and all of that. And then the company goes bust, and then you lose all your Bitcoin, sort of thing. Or the government could take it. The government can be like, look, we're in massive trouble. So anyone that holds Bitcoin, give it to us. Yeah. And just take it from the exchanges. And
I'd just be like, I lost it.
Well, they can't do it to this is the thing about it.
Yeah.
They can't do it to individuals, sort of thing. Well, I suppose if the whole KYC thing.
Yeah, but
then maybe they could.
You'd be like, I lost it, bro. I no, seriously, I did. I lost it. I had
my dog ate it.
My dog chewed my hardware wallet, and that's it. I can't access it anymore. But then if it is that KYC and then those coins move, they'd be like, oh, my dog must have moved it. My wallet. That's who knows about that stuff. We'll see.
But yeah. I mean, they shouldn't be able to take it from people, but they could definitely take it from companies.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, they could like nationalize an exchange or something and say, well, this
strategy is a US company. And they could be like, we need to. Or even if it's not all of it, they could 10%, 20% or whatever.
Didn't America just do that with NVIDIA? Was it NVIDIA or some other?
They've definitely done it in the past. I don't know currently what's going on, but
it was some tech company where where the government was just like, oh, we've got 10% of these shares now. Like, we just had those. Like whether that was like a dodgy deal or they can just be like, these are our shares. We've acquired 10% of. I can't remember what company it was. Maybe if you're on the ones and twos on the AI, you can check. I think it might have been NVIDIA or something. Shall I have a quick look? Or do you want to have a quick look and I'll continue reading?
Yeah.
Actually, on this point with like governments in debt, if you think about, I've always thought about it this way: where say you've got a central bank who's got permission to print a nation's currency. If on day one of that central bank going into power, like the Federal Reserve Act, for example, they say, right, we're going to now print exclusively the dollar. We're going to put $1 billion into circulation. But they want interest on that loan to the government. So they want money on top of that $1 billion. But on day one, they've only printed $1 billion. So that interest that they're asking for doesn't actually exist. Let's say they ask for 1%, right? So they say, right, well, we're going to print $1 billion at interest to you, right? The government, the nation. But next year, because we've got interest on this money creation, we want 1.01. No, so we want 1 billion dollars back. We want 1% of that money, but that interest doesn't exist in reality because it hasn't been printed yet. So they're asking for money that doesn't actually exist. So from day one in that system, they're stuck in a debt cycle that they can never get out of. I think this is why there was so much opposition to the Federal Reserve in the first place, because people knew this. And, this trick, this usury trick enslaves people, whether it's an individual loan, an individual debt on a micro scale or on a country scale. on a macro scale, which is what we have now, they can never pay that off because that amount of money doesn't actually exist. Hasn't been printed. So when you see them like, yeah, we're gonna tariff and we're gonna cut, we're gonna cut jobs and we're gonna raise the GDP, there's no way out of it. Because from day one, those bankers will say, right, we're going to print $1 billion, but we want interest on that $1 billion. But they haven't printed more than $1 billion. So how can you ask for more interest on that? It's literally like, it's a trick. It's like, from day one, it will enslave whoever says yes to that. Whoever signs the dotted line, it will enslave them because they can never get out of that debt. And it just compounds more and more and more each year. And then you get to the point now, like America, is like, what, $35 trillion in debt? And it's like, oh, how are we going to pay this off? It's like, you ain't. That whole system itself is designed for you to never pay it off. It's a slavery system. You're constantly running on that treadmill, and the treadmill's getting faster and faster and faster.
Exactly.
Can't get out of it.
I've seen people like, I don't know if you've watched any like Mark Moss, or there's other people that are saying the same thing as well now, of basically like borrowing against your Bitcoin. But this is my point, is like, you're just going to end up in the same, it's just going to be in the same system. You're just going to end up in the exact same thing. And eventually it won't exist anymore.
Some people will get wrecked. Yeah.
And so I get it. If you're like an early investor in Bitcoin, you've got like 100 Bitcoin or something like that, and you're like, but you're cash poor. I get it. Maybe you might want to put like 10 few percent, like 5 Bitcoin up for collateral, and then you can get 250 grand or something like that, and then you could just do it off that. And it's rather than selling those 5, you're doing that, and so you still technically could keep it. And I get it if you're doing it like that, but doing it with your main stack just is a recipe for disaster. And I think this is the dangerous thing about people trying to explain this, is that most people will just be like, oh no, I can do that. Everyone over leverages, everyone takes on too much risk. It's just human nature. But no, you're right. Like, I think it was a 10% stake in Intel.
That was it, yeah.
But also Nvidia paid 15% of revenue for its advanced chip sales in China, a concession to secure.
So go down to the Intel deals. What happened?
I think it's just a 10% stake.
But scroll down on this page, look where it says the Intel deal. What happened?
Oh, there.
Agreed to take a 10% stake. So there was a one-off.
National security consideration.
They use that line for anything. It's like national security.
How has that got anything to do with anything? And so this is my point. Is like they could just literally do this from MicroStrategy, or
it's like
the ETFs. They're all with Coin, but Coinbase holds like 9 of the top 12 ETFs are on Coinbase.
I mean, imagine
MicroStrategy is held with Coinbase. Like, they just need to do it with Coinbase, and then they've literally just smashed everyone's Bitcoin. Like,
for national security purposes, we're going to have to seize Coinbase.
Take all of Coinbase's Bitcoin.
Yeah, there's been some activity of terrorism.
Talking about that, did you hear this alarm that went off on the phones the other day?
I did actually, yeah. Yeah, I did, yeah. What was that about?
Like, I have no idea. But
I was in McDonald's. I was doing some Uber Eats, and I was literally in McDonald's, and it was everyone in there was just like, meh.
If you're not from the UK, the other day, they sent an alarm
off. Is it a global
off.
Thing, or?
No, just the UK.
Ah.
They sent an alarm off on everyone's phone at the same time, as a practice, as a trial run, in case there's a serious, what do they say?
Emergency broadcast system or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, because there's a national threat to everyone's security or something. It's like, what do you mean? Like, they're literally showing everyone that they control their phones. I was just like, why is there not mass outrage about this? I'm so baffled. It was the same as like when they started handing people money during COVID. It's like, how is everyone just accepting this and not questioning it? Like,
I know, yeah.
It's just like, I was with my parents at the time, and they were like, this happened like 3 years ago. I wasn't living here 3 years ago, and I was just like, why has no one told me about this? Why have I? Because I don't listen to mainstream media, because it's all a load of rubbish. Like, when there's anything important enough like that, you find out because everyone talks about it. But so why is not everyone talking about this?
I was in Mackey's, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I think I'd heard that it was happening at some point, and then it went off, and then nobody even mentioned it in Mackey's. It
Yeah,
was
no one's
nobody was.
made.
It was like,
I haven't spoken to anyone that said anything about it. It's like,
yeah,
oh, it's the only thing I've
it's
thought
just like,
of
oh,
since
okay,
this has happened. Is like, so they're
yeah.
literally,
No,
like you
I
said
need to.
before, they're testing what can they do and what can they get away with, and
Mm.
and then
Have you looked into things like Graphene OS on phones and stuff? It's like a
no,
de-googled phone. Like it's an operating system for, you can get it on Android. I think you can get it on iPhone as well, but it's basically like a completely de-googled phone. So you can still get the same apps, but it's just removed like a lot of the tracking stuff and all that. I need to look into it more, but I know a couple of people that use it and say it's the most like private, the most secure operating system.
what is all those apps as well? Like was it Simplex and those texting ones? Remember that we found out about in Prague, and it's like, oh, okay, people are on a whole other level of this sort of stuff, aren't they? And I think we just we throw our details around so willy nilly that it's so normalized now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a whole nother level. I was thinking like this chair I'm on at the minute is just some like rubbish like wooden chair, right? And I was thinking the other day, oh, this is uncomfortable. Like maybe I should get like one of those comfy chairs. And then literally the day after, I had a advert on my feed. I mean, this is not news to people, but I had an advert for my feed for this amazingly ergonomic leather office chair, and I was taken in by this advert. I'm like, wow, that looks well nice. And I was thinking, hang on, I didn't even say that to anybody. I've literally just been like doing this and like thinking my chair's uncomfortable. The day after, I get some office. I'm like, what? I literally didn't say that. And then the day after that, I remember I had my hat on, and my hair was like doing this. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, my hairline is my hairline receded? But in the mirror, right? Literally in a mirror in the bathroom. And then the day after that, I had some thing for like hair loss pills. I'm thinking, bro, like what is going on here? Like I'm not even saying this stuff, and I'm not searching this stuff. I'm literally having these thoughts, and I'm seeing adverts like, what? Like, the day that I see like an advert for like life insurance, I'm thinking I'm gonna die. All right, that's it. It's telling me something that I don't know.
Yeah, I always think though with that sort of stuff as well, is it just like the whole, when you're looking for a car, looking to buy a car, and then you see it everywhere on the road, is it a bit of that, or is it? I think it's a little mixture of.
No, because it's
I mean,
the
the
other way.
chair
Like,
is weird.
dude, if you saw a car on the street and you thought that's a nice car, but then you started seeing adverts for that car, that would be this phenomenon, not the other way around.
Yeah, that's true. Or is it like you just wouldn't see that advert normally, but because you were thinking about it, it made you stop and if you know what I mean.
Potentially.
But
Yeah,
I
could be a bit
get
of
your
that.
point though. Like it is mad, and
I mean,
that's happened to me.
I was reading one thing about this whole like data tracking a while ago and the levels that it's at. I mean, it's probably a lot more advanced than we even think, and it's not just for selling you stuff either. There's a lot more, like that whole Cambridge Analytica scandal in the UK. I think it was like 2016, 17, where they were like nudging. They would get a digital profile of the person, the user, and they would know exactly what kind of person this was from what they search, what they consume, that kind of stuff. And this company would build a digital profile of millions and millions of people, because this data, which is collected, we allow them to take this data because we sign up to the terms and conditions, right? So it's not illegal. And this data gets basically collected and sold to companies that utilize it for whatever purposes, and it's a legal thing. But there was a scandal in the UK, this Cambridge Analytica scandal, 2016, because this company was basically finding people that were on a certain political spectrum, maybe on the fence between the two candidates. It was Trump and Clinton at the time, and they would then what's called nudge these people in a certain direction that they wanted to politically. So if, let's say, they found me online, this digital profile, I was on the fence, Trump's got some good points, Clinton's got some good points, not entirely sure. I would then be nudged by this company, and I would be shown certain things online to nudge me in a certain way that this political party has paid this company to do. So that was an aspect of data collection this was a big scandal in the UK. It's not even a conspiracy; it's a thing. But another aspect of it which I heard about was that it's not just things that you look at, but there was one example of a guy where he kept seeing diamond rings, like engagement rings, all the time. And again, he had this issue where he was thinking, I have not told anybody that I'm going to propose to my girlfriend, So he started looking into this, and what it was was for a few times after work in the week, he'd stopped at a jeweler's and looked in the window, and the data that was collected from his phone, his location, it knew that he was interested in something in this jeweler's, right? This is how he figured it out. And it knew that he was looking at this jeweler's, and then it put some other things together. So it knew that he was interested in buying a wedding ring. There's all kinds of stuff like that. Like, I've even read some things where, because you've got that front-facing camera now, the algorithm on like social media and stuff, it knows exactly what you're looking at, it knows what takes your eye even for like a millisecond. So even if you don't particularly click on a link, as you're scrolling, it knows what catches your eye, and it will show you more of that stuff.
That's crazy.
So it's a lot like deeper, a lot more mental than just like, oh, I clicked on this and it's showing me more. I can't even really fathom it now, because the amount of data collected is mental, and you loop that in with like government industrial size AI. You could literally, it's a powerful tool. Let's put it that way.
It's mad, isn't it? I think everyone's known about the cameras for years now, haven't they? With what's his name? The guy who leaked it all, Snowden. Yeah.
I mean, I find it stupid. Remember when this phone I've got now doesn't have it, but at one point the iPhone had that thumbprint to get in. Instead of a PIN code, you put your thumbprint, and it was like, "Give us your thumbprint," and everybody was like, "Yeah, okay." Yeah. But then. And it's like, okay, well, Apple just owns my fingerprint now, nowhere, and all of my data, all my information, all everything. Now it's like, yeah, take the facial scan. It's like, okay, so I've got the full biometric scan of my face and the fingerprint, and it's like, people are just like,
same with the passport and stuff like that. It's been like that for ages now, isn't it?
There's no even illusion that, it's almost like privacy is not a thing. It doesn't actually exist anymore. Like,
convenience,
but also people have willingly done it. Like,
well, I mean, I've done
it. Well, I did the fingerprint thing, but it's like the phone says, "Give me your full biometric facial scan." Okay, yeah. It's like, I mean, I wonder what lengths it could possibly go to. Like, be like, "Oh, we need your DNA." I mean, this whole like 23andMe thing is like, did you hear about? I mean, we'll get down rabbit holes. We'll talk about that next time. People going for like DNA tests, like, we need your DNA. Sign up now. Okay, yeah. Here's my DNA.
Dear.
Anyway, we've only gone about 2 paragraphs. We've almost got an hour.
I know.
Where did we even get to? We got to the bottom one yet. Many pretend.
I haven't had much luck with finding the up-to-date national savings rates. It's just given, I've used AI and it's given not even useful stuff at all. I've had a look around, but it's quite hard to find, especially to get like the same data as what this is. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'll dig more another time. Anyway, shall I carry on?
Yeah, you go.
Many pretend this is a miraculous modern discovery from Keynes's brilliant insight into spending. That spending is all that matters, and that by ensuring spending remains high, debts can continue to grow indefinitely and savings can be eliminated. In reality, there is nothing new in this policy, which was employed by the decadent emperors in Rome during its decline, except that it is being applied with government-issued paper money. Indeed, paper money allows it to be managed a little more smoothly and less obviously than the metallic coins of old, but the results are the same. I think that's the thing as well, isn't it? It's just literally, he lays out what's happened in history and people still like, yeah, but it might not happen.
Yeah.
The 20th century's binge on conspicuous consumption cannot be understood separately from the destruction of sound money and the outbreak of Keynesian high time preference thinking in vilifying savings and defying consumption as the key to economic prosperity.
Deifying, I think, is that deifying, which basically means like making a god of.
Oh, yeah.
So vilifying
Oh, yeah.
savings and deifying consumption. That's an interesting way of putting it, yeah.
That is literally it, isn't it? That's literally what they've done. We're all just become consumers.
Yeah. That's it.
As the key to the reduced incentive to save is mirrored with an increased incentive to spend, and with interest rates regularly manipulated downwards and banks able to issue more credit than ever, lending stopped being restricted to investment, but has narrowed to, but has moved on to consumption. Credit cards and consumer loans allow individuals to borrow for the sake of consumption without even the pretense of performing investment in the future. It is an ironic sign of the depth of modern day economic ignorance fomented by Keynesian economics that capitalism, an economic system based on capital accumulation from saving, is blamed for the unleashing conspicuous consumption, the exact opposite of capital accumulation.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Let me just read that again. It is an ironic sign of the depth of modern day economic ignorance fomented by Keynesian economics that capitalism, an economic system based on capital accumulation from saving, is blamed for unleashing conspicuous consumption, the exact opposite of capital accumulation. That's very interesting, yeah.
That sums everything up, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've never like, I've got a couple of mates at work that just blame capitalism for everything. It seems like a very like, but they don't like, oh, it's capitalism, bro. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about, though. What are you talking about?
But what they're blaming is cronyism. They're blaming.
Well, I'd agree, and I'd also try and tell them that the foundationally the money is broken, so it doesn't matter what ism you're in if the money's broken.
All these isms do not matter at the moment at all. You have to fix the money, to fix the world. Capitalism is what happens when people drop their time preference, defer immediate gratification, and invest in the future. Debt-fueled mass consumption is as much a normal part of capitalism as asphyxiation is a normal part of respiration. This also helps explain one of the key Keynesian misunderstanding of economics, which considers that delaying current consumption by saving will put workers out of work and cause economic production to stall. Keynes viewed the level of spending at any point in time as being the most important determinant of the state of the economy, because having studied no economics, he had no understanding of capital theory and how employment does not only have to be in final goods, but can also be in the production of capital goods, which will only produce final goods in the future. And having lived off of his family's considerable fortune without having to work real jobs, Keynes had no appreciation of saving or capital accumulation and their essential role in economic growth. And I think that is the issue, is that basically our whole financial system is based off someone who lived off his family's fortune without doing any real work themselves. And so we're basing this off a rich, spoiled brat, basically.
Yeah, what it says, Keynes viewed the level of spending at any point in time as being the most important determinant of the state of the economy. So the more spending reflects the health of the economy. So this is why you get people like Trump or whatever. They're like, yeah, the economy's better than ever. Yeah. Well, if you're using that kind of referent or whatever as the state of an economy, you're spending more than ever.
And that's,
so it's like,
that makes sense. Like, he's a spoiled rich brat. And so that is their reality. Like, when you think about it, like when they go and spend money, they're happy. when they don't spend money, they're bored and like have nothing to do.
Yeah.
So whereas someone that is grown up from like a normal background or someone that is a very hard background, they can't just go and spend money because they won't be able to eat tomorrow. So it's a very, very different reality when you're
it's almost
it is
almost like some kind of teenager. It's like, oh, the economy's down. Print more money, yay! Print money. Yay, more money. It's like,
let's go spend.
And then it's like the adult in the room is saying, no, you can't just print more money. You can't just print more.
But there are no adults left.
And then
that's
they go,
the issue.
Oh, print more money. Yay, print more money. That's literally like what it's like. We printed more money. Yay, the economy's up. We're spending more because we're printing more,
Oh, dear. Hence, Keynes would observe a recession concurrently with a fall in consumer spending, an increase in saving, and assume that the causality runs from increased savings to decreased consumption to a recession. Yeah, that is bananas, isn't it? That is literally ludicrous. And how does anyone think that this is acceptable to think like this? And this is what a whole monetary system is based upon. Had he had the temperament to study capital theory, he would have understood that the decreased consumption was a natural reaction to the business cycle, which was in turn caused by the expansion of the money supply, as will be discussed in Chapter 6. He would also have understood that the only cause of economic growth in the first place is delayed gratification, saving, and investment, which extends the length of the production cycle and increase the productivity of the methods of production, leading to better standards of living. He would have realized the only reason he was born into a rich family in a rich society was that his ancestors had spent centuries accumulating capital, deferring gratification, and investing in the future. But like the Roman emperors during the decay of the empire, he could never understand the work and sacrifice needed to build his affluence and believed instead that high consumption is the cause of prosperity rather than its consequence. And this links to a point where I've heard before, kind of leads to, strong, weak, poor times.
I was just thinking that.
Lead to strong men. And what's that saying?
Yeah, what is it? It's like, good times lead to
weak men.
Weak men lead to hard times. Hard times lead to strong men. Strong men lead to good times. Good times lead to weak men. Weak men lead to bad times. Bad times lead to strong men.
I've also heard this within families as well, is that often, so say that you came from nothing and say you built some massive business empire and it's super successful. Your kids would likely see the struggle that you go through. So it would be instilled into them to have the good work ethic. So they would probably still carry on the business successfully, but their kids would not see the struggle that their parents have gone through. They would just see the good times, their easier lifestyle, and they would not have it instilled into them. So their kids would be so it's normally like grandkids generation, if you're the one that's built it up, who would then start the unraveling. And then their kids would have no work ethic at all. And then that's where it kind of all falls down. So it's almost within 2 or 3 generations, this is kind of what happens. And this explains this guy's thinking as well. Like he has come in, he is that great grandkid who is not seeing his parents do any hard work. He has nothing to base this upon because the wealth has been built generations before.
I mean, people blame the boomers for a lot of stuff because they were, they kind of fumbled the bag in terms of this stuff. They were just like, to be fair, they were sold a bit of a lie with the whole like free love, free drugs, whatever, swinging 60s.
Yeah.
But maybe now with Gen Z coming up, they will think, oh, okay, now it's time to fix things again. Or millennials, who knows?
I think it's our generation. I think it is.
Millennials.
Yeah. And then probably the next generation will be the artists because they will have a bit more of the freedom. I don't know. Maybe it's in between. But it is that whole fourth turning thing as well, isn't it? We are now at that inflection point. We're at the fourth turning. So debt is the opposite of saving. If saving creates the possibility of capital accumulation and civilization nor advance, debt is what can reverse it. Through the reduction in capital stocks across generations, reduced productivity and a decline in living standards. Whether it is housing debts, social security obligations or government debt that will require ever higher taxes and debt monetization to refinance, the current generations may be the first in the Western world since the demise of the Roman Empire, or at least the Industrial Revolution, to come into the world with less capital than their parents. That's it, isn't it? The current generations may be the first in the Western world since the demise of the Roman Empire, or at least the Industrial Revolution, to come into the world with less capital than their parents. So that's exactly what I mean. Is like our generation, maybe the next generation, are the generations that are going to be faced with this for the first time since the demise of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Rather than witness their savings accumulate and raise the capital stock, this generation has to work to pay off the growing interest on its debt, working harder to fund entitlement programs that they will barely get to enjoy while paying higher taxes and barely being able to save for their old age. This move from sound money to depreciating money has led to several generations of accumulated wealth being squandered on conspicuous consumption within a generation or two, making indebtedness the new method for funding major expenses. Whereas 100 years ago, most people would pay for their house, education, or marriage from their own labor or accumulated savings. Such a notion seems ridiculous to people today. Even the wealthy will not live within their means and will instead use their wealth to allow them larger loans to finance large purchases. What we were talking about earlier. This sort of arrangement can last for a while, but its lasting cannot be mistaken for sustainability, as it is no more than the systematic consumption of the capital stock of society, the eating of the seed crop. And that is my point of like the message Mark Moss and these people are saying about with Bitcoin. I think it's so dangerous. I really do. I've actually got a video coming up about this soon because it's going to cripple the normal person because they're going to buy into it because that's what we're used to. Whereas we're going into a totally new system and we've got to start living that way now. Live below your means. Obviously, you want to try and keep your Bitcoin. You don't want to have to sell it or whatever, but it's just imagine that there is no debt that you can take on, which is what the case would be within Bitcoin. The thing that drove this home for me as well is that imagine taking on a loan in a Bitcoin world. Like that would be crazy because it's going to get more and more expensive. That loan is.
Yeah.
So the only people that would take on a loan are people that have like starting a business or something and they've found a gap in the market and it's like right now this is the time where this is working. They've got proof of concepts. They're probably going to have to start hustle, grind, graft, get it off the ground all by themselves. And then once they've got proof of concept, they'll be like, right, now's a good time for me to borrow a couple of Bitcoin because I know I'm going to be able to make more than that back because of these sales and I've already got proof of concept. So they borrow it knowing that they can pay it back quickly to then grow their business. Because it's stupid to hold on for it for 10 years. You don't want to hold on to a Bitcoin debt where you like, if you lend me a couple of Bitcoin, I don't want to have to pay you that back in 10 years because it's going to be worth so much more.
Yeah.
I want to pay you that back ASAP.
I know what you mean. Like this, like taking fiat out against Bitcoin, it's almost like it's kind of defeating the point of Bitcoin being used as money itself.
Equally, if you understand both systems, I think it can work. Like as Michael Saylor is showing, you're basically leveraging this dying system to buy the new system. And if you can do it well, then and like conservatively and like not put your whole stack in basically, just use 5-10%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And see it as, well, I'm going to use that Bitcoin anyway, so I may as well try and leverage the system, then that's fine, I think. Whereas I think most people are going to miss that point and they'll just go, nah, I'll just use all of my Bitcoin and then 2 years later, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might use it well still. They might be using it to buy a better house or something like that. But the point is like you just, as he said, everyone, let's just read that bit again. Whereas 100 years ago, most people would pay for their house, education, or marriage from their own labor or accumulated savings. So this is the world that we're going into again, is that we need to accumulate savings. And then once you want to buy the house, you just sell the Bitcoin and buy the house with the Bitcoin or whatever it is. That's so ridiculous to us today. Is that, no, you don't do that. But that is how it will work, because it'll be crazy to take on. It's crazy to take on debt. That there won't be, in this new world, there won't be this fake world where we can borrow from, which we currently can do. So it does kind of make sense at the moment to do it, but it's just this excess risk, because you're then not holding your keys, you're not holding the Bitcoin, and it can just get taken from you.
Yeah, I mean, an interest-free loan is almost, you can't even possibly fathom it nowadays.
Yeah.
But
that would make sense. That would make sense in a Bitcoin world.
Yeah. Well, it would, because as you were saying, only if you were a money lender, or you would only, I mean, what would be the benefit of lending? I guess there wouldn't be as much, as you said, there wouldn't be as much lending, there wouldn't be as much debt. If somebody believed in a business and had a bit of extra money, they would say, yeah, I would lend you, £1,000 or whatever.
The benefit of me lending you money, say you've got a business that's thriving and you're about to start, the benefit of that is that, one, I will keep that Bitcoin. It then takes it away from me having the possibility of just being like, no, I'm going to go and spend it. Or, so then it's almost like a forced saving. Also, it's going to be worth more in the future. So as you pay it back to me, it will be worth more than when I've lent it to you. But also, I'm actually then helping provide value. I would obviously look at your business, look at what it is that it's doing, and I would only do it if I'm sure that, I think this is going to really help.
That's right. So it would be more of an investment for the lender. You might be like, okay, I'll lend you this one Bitcoin now, but I would like 10% of your business profit.
It could be,
if it
could be there could be tons of ways that people
rather
do it.
than saying, okay, I'll give you this one Bitcoin now, or I'll give you this loan.
They might put interest on it. You might say, I'll give you one Bitcoin, and within the next 2 years, you pay me 1.05 or something. So that's like 5% or something. That's because if you're like I say, if you've thought about it smartly and you know that you're going to make that back because your business is about to explode, but you need it right now to maybe buy the product or buy the stock, whatever it is, you're going to make way more than that back. So that might not be an issue.
I guess that's an issue with any currency is, does somebody want to lend it at interest? That's not really.
It's less so today.
That's more of a moral issue, I guess.
It's much less so today, and this is why there's all these zombie companies and stuff who are basically adding no value to society that can still exist and still have millions of pounds on the balance sheet. Is because they can just keep borrowing, because watch The Big Short. The banks don't care. They just they have the money, or they just want to lend as much out as possible.
Because when they lend, everything. They actually create, as it was saying here, Keynes, the amount of money spent is the most important determinant of the state of the economy. So it's like they want to create more debt because that new debt is new money, and therefore green line number go up. Yeah, we're doing well, but they don't actually think, can people pay this back?
The more that banks lend, the better they're doing in the current system lies. And because that is that they're creating like the asset and liability of a balance sheet. When we deposit something into the bank, that is our asset, that's the bank's liability. They don't want that. Their asset is when they give debt out, because that is being owed back to them. So they want to create as many assets as possible. And they want as little people to store their money in the bank as possible, basically.
Wait, say that again. Between us, I have been reading about this, but I don't quite get it.
So if we put money into the bank, that is our asset, but it's their liability. Like they need to pay us interest on that.
Yes.
Basically.
Okay.
So it's a liability. Like it's not,
that's right.
It's not making money for them each month. The simplest way to say it is, does something make you more money or make you more money each month? Yes or no?
What does it cost you? Yeah.
So if it doesn't, and to the bank, when we give them money, that's bad. They need to pay money back to you. When they create debt, that's good because we need to pay money back to them. And it's not like they're giving you real money from their bank vault.
Yeah.
They're literally just typing numbers in the screen, magicking from nothing, and then we're paying them back. So there's a huge incentive for them to lend as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And then that's how the 2008 style stuff happens. It's exactly that. And this next one might not be the housing bubble or something, but I mean, it could easily be the financial bubble or, the business bubble. Like, choose any other sector that you want, wherever people are buying, borrowing and lending, that same thing can happen. The same principle can happen where the bank frivolously lends money out way too much. They don't look at people's business models. They don't look at what they're doing because it's just they're incentivized to lend the money out. And then when that business fails and can't pay it back and default, and then there's the snowball, banks like, crap, same thing's just happened. And I think everyone gets fixated and is like, oh yeah, but the housing market hasn't even moved that much. And like, it doesn't have to be housing. It can be, choose any like, think of all the different ways that people take on debt from banks or lenders. It could be any of those.
Did you see that thing in the week that Russia basically publicly said that the US is planning to get rid of their debt by using tether,
stable coins,
stable coins and whatnot? They're going to like basically move the dollars into stable coins and then devalue the dollar and then get crypto and what Bitcoin and gold to like devalue the dollar. I can't remember exactly because they're going to kind of like absorb their debt through crypto.
It's basically the new bond. Russia, no one wants a bond anymore. Everyone's cotton onto the facts that bonds are dead, and so that's their way around it. Basically, that is there's a video. I remember I spoke to you briefly about Camel Finance. He literally did this months ago. I'll see if I can dig that video out and send that to you because he literally shows this. It's like, this is what's going to happen. This is how they're going to pay their debt, their bonds, whatever you want to call it. They just use fancy words. It's just all debt.
I don't quite understand it, but the fact that Russia have come out and basically said the US is conspiring to do this, and they're actually, this is how they're going to do it, and this is what they're doing. We're just letting you know, guys.
It's
like, so what is the
French guy? They are the French guy from 1971. They are Charles de Gaulle, who claimed his gold back. They are calling it out. They are all. Yeah. That's what's happening. They're like, look, this is what's going on. Wake up, everyone! And so it's like, it's only a matter of time. Like,
so what? I don't quite understand it, but do you understand what they're actually trying to do?
I think I'll have to watch it again to remember. But yeah, basically. It is a bit confusing. I'll probably say it wrong, but the bottom line is like the dollar. So if you buy a stable coin, that is backed 1-to-1 with dollars. So they have to buy dollars. So say you're in Argentina and the currency is getting devalued, or wherever it is, Venezuela, whatever. You're like, well, yeah, I'll buy a stable coin, because that's way better than holding my local currency. And so whenever you buy a stable coin through Tether, whoever it is, they have to actually buy dollars.
Yeah. Is
the overly simplified way of doing it. And that basically, and dollars are debt. So it's like, that is the government bonds that they are, that's basically what they're having to do. I'd have to, again, dig in to get like the nitty gritty.
But how are they going to use those to then pay off their own debt?
Well, this is the thing. No one can pay off their own debt, but what they will do is it will help them keep afloat, because that is the game in a minute. Is kick the can down the road. Don't be the one that it all collapses on. That has literally been the game since 2008. That's why there's these four-year cycles.
Or even before that, I guess.
Yeah, definitely before that, but especially since 2008, it's accelerated. Because they haven't sorted out any of the issues that actually happened during that time. If anything, it's just made it worse. But that's why there's every 4 years, these presidential elections, there's the loosening, the tightening of the policy. And it's almost like a 4-year cycle. It's called
Yeah.
call it the business cycle, liquidity cycle, whatever you want to call it. But that's where we're getting to right now. The end of this year has been like the peak of the liquidity cycle. So now is when, but equally at the same time, they've been restrictive. So they've had higher interest rates, and there's been low money printing, and we've still had this growth that we've had in the last few years. So it's like, where are you going to go now, guys? Because everything, people are about like losing jobs left, right, and center. The whole
Yeah.
economy is struggling. Credit card limits are going to the max. And what are you going to do? Like, so you're just going to then loosen everything whilst this is going to happen? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like all this debt's going to be getting refinanced, and it's almost definitely everything's going to come tumbling down, and then probably that's when the big print will happen. That's when you'll see CBDCs and all of this ways that they will save everyone.
Yeah.
Which is ludicrous to people. They'll package it different. They won't call it CBDCs. They'll call it something else. But yeah, it's again, this is speculation. I don't know, but this is the more I've learned, the more it seems like this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Where were we in the text?
So when money
In the
is
academic
nationalised-
text.
yeah,
Oh yeah, that's it.
When money was nationalised, it was placed under the command of politicians who operate over short time horizons of a few years, trying their best to get re-elected. It was only natural that such a process would lead to short-term decision-making, where politicians abuse the currency to fund their re-election campaigns at the expense of future generations. As H.L. Mencken put it, every election is an advanced auction on stolen goods. In a society where money is free and sound, individuals have to make decisions with their capital that affect their families in the long run. While it is likely that some would make irresponsible decisions that hurt their offspring, those who wanted to make responsible decisions had the choice to do so. With nationalised money, that became an increasingly harder choice to make, as central government control of the money supply inevitably destroys incentives to save while increasing the incentive to borrow. No matter how prudent a person, his children will still witness their savings lose value and have to pay taxes to cover the inflationary largesse of their government. That's literally what I was just been rambling about. I should have just read this next paragraph.
Yeah.
How, every election is an advanced auction of stolen goods. And they're just trying their best to get re-elected.
Nobody on their term. Yeah, nobody on their term is going to say, right, we need to crash everything. Or it's going to crash, but I'm not prepared to be known as the guy that, the economy crashed under.
That's the whole Triffin dilemma. Like, the correct thing to do is austerity, like bad times for everyone. Let everything reset, flush the debt. But you can't even really flush all the debt because it's impossible, because there won't be anything to pay for it. Like, so, but that's the responsible thing to do. But it would be horrendous. There'll be riots. People will be looting shops because they can't feed themselves. Or you kick the can. And so every government has always chosen to print more and kick the can down the road.
I mean, I was thinking that I do often think, because there's been things in the past in like certain civilizations where there's been debt jubilees, which is basically like where you just the debts are forgiven, don't worry about it, right? Which sounds like incomprehensible today, but this used to be a thing, like I guess like biblical times and maybe Roman times or whatever, where every 7 years or so, whatever debts has been accumulated, there's a forgiveness now. All the debts are forgiven. And I often think, I'm like, can't anybody in the world just be like, you know what? For example, like let's say you were Jerome Powell, right? Now this is never going to happen, but he was like, you know what? Times are hard in the world. I'm going to do something really good for for humanity. You know what? all debts are forgiven. Like the certain Rothschild family members. You know what? I'm going to do something nice for the world because I've got a lot of power. I've got enough money. All the debts forgiven. Forget about it, and then we'll just thrive from here. Like, it is in the realm of possibility because, at the end of the day, it's just men that control these banks. You can say, oh, you know what, the debts are forgiven. It's possible.
In
Or
a sound money system, it's possible.
yeah,
In this money system, it's not possible. Like you literally, there won't be anything. If everyone paid off their debt, there would be nothing. There would be no money.
that's right. Oh, because we're operating from a less
We
than
have
zero
way
system.
more debt than we do money of capital. So it's impossible. Like, if they just wiped everyone's debts, no one's going to have any money. So like the business that is paying you or like your job
because in
won't
this current system, money equals debt. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Well, I was also thinking about like certain. Let's take America for example as well, just because it's always a popular example. But certain presidents that tried to create their own money, like Lincoln. I think I think his was called the greenback. It was like backed by silver or something. And then Kennedy, he tried to create something, or his might have been the greenback. Or basically, they said, you know what, this debt is just crazy. And we're just going to make our own currency, which is backed by the people. But both of them got knocked off. Probably unrelated, as I've said before, but both of them got killed. So surely it's possible. Like, if let's say that Kennedy didn't get killed, his currency could have taken off and just been like, do you know what? We're going to have our own American-made, government-issued currency. Surely it's possible.
So Kennedy is in 61 to 63. Who was the other one you said? Lincoln.
Lincoln
Is, that's 1800s. So it's
both of those. In fact,
money was totally different in both of those situations. That's the thing. Like before 1970, like since 1971, we literally are living in unknown times. This has never happened before, where every money in the world is backed by nothing other than faith. That's never happened before. So we don't know what will happen. But I think it's Mike Maloney's series, like The Hidden Secrets of Money. He explains that whole debt thing, and he just sort of has like a tower of this is like money or capital, and then this is debt, and then debt just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So if you just pay off all the debt, all the capital like completely disappears, and you're still left with debt. So it's like, no one knows. That's the thing.
Yeah, we've also never had Bitcoin before. So like Bitcoin is a new. It was that famous Hayek quote that said like the only way to get around it is to, well, whatever it was. You know what I mean? It's like
sneakily
it's for the people to sneakily create their own thing, which takes away the power from these central bankers.
Yeah, but even with it created, it's not a smooth transition. That's the thing. It's going to be really, really messy. It's going to be, to get from one system to another.
Of course, yeah, definitely.
Because even with what we're seeing with core versus knots, I mean,
exactly.
Again, I don't want to be conspiracy theorist or whatever, but
I will be. I mean,
they're almost definitely being like coerced. That
infiltrated.
They have to be. Yeah. They have to. Like, it makes no logical sense when you actually see what's going on. Like, they're literally just handing the state a weapon to potentially destroy it. I mean, it doesn't. I don't think it will destroy it, because you could do a hard fork. I know it's very hard. It would be really annoying and bad, and it would, it could be bad for a long time. But there are ways to get around this. I don't understand it enough, but there are.
What's the benefit of running knots then versus core, or maybe even just holding an old core rather than updating to 30?
So it won't. Your default settings will still be at. So knots is 40 bytes for this op return. Core currently is like 83 bytes, I think, 80 or 83, and so it just means it would just carry on the same way it has now. Spam can still enter, but needs to go through. They'll just basically keep going through UTXOs.
Could it be because at the minute NOTS is like what 15%,
It's almost 20%.
20%.
I think it's like 19%.
Okay, so let's
now.
just say 20%, but 80% run core. So it's still the majority of nodes are core. So if anybody was to be attacked, you would want to take down core. Could it be that could it be an option that if NOTS is the only one filtering out this illegal content, but core isn't, could it then be that all the core node runners are demonized, which is the vast majority of, maybe running core becomes illegal or demonized or whatever, because that's the only one that it's almost like core, like self-sabotaging, and then everybody moves on to NOTS. And then,
well, the advantage as well, or the other big thing is that you would have a potential legal like workaround sort of thing. So let's say the worst thing happens, CSAM ends up on there, goes out in the mainstream media, and the governments are like, we ban anyone running a node in our country.
My point being, would they say we need to we need to ban specifically core nodes because that's the only one?
Well, what you could do is say, look, I was running NOTS this whole time, so don't ban mine, basically.
That's what I'm saying. But isn't NOTS is a lot newer, and it's there's a lot less developers on there, so it could be a lot more easily infiltrated.
Again, I think this is
I don't really know. I don't really understand it.
I think this is where a lot of misconception comes around, and a lot of the FUD around NOTS is like that's what, and they come from the core developers mainly. That there's 5 maintainers on core at the minute, and they're basically people who can make changes to the rules and stuff. There's only one, Luke Dasher, maintainer on NOTS. NOTS is just a fork of core. So it's basically, I don't know, like 98% the same as core. It's just those tiny little filters and things which are different. But NOTS also has, I think this is where people don't understand this bit, is that NOTS does have developers working on NOTS. It's only that Luke Dasher is the one that can change it. And also, I heard this from... I think it was Forrest that said this from like Maple Bitcoin. He made a really good point that having 5 people that can change it compared to 1, it's not necessarily a good thing. If that one person is honest and trustworthy and is doing the right thing for Bitcoin, because you only need one of those 5 persons to be corrupt to then infiltrate and maybe push their agenda and, inception everyone else and make them believe that what it is good. So from a state or government, whatever you want to call it, from the enemies of Bitcoin's point of view, they only need to infiltrate one of those 5 people.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
So
it's like democracy versus monarchy. Like if you've got a good king that has 100% control, then that's good.
Exactly.
But
that's it.
The risk is if he's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. But as the Bitcoin community has shown, going from literally like nothing to 20% in just a few months, they react. They see the data and they react, they respond to that. So if Luke Dasher ever did get coerced himself, why couldn't the same thing happen again? It's like it has to run on something. It has the nodes need to use some sort of software. But yeah, again, it's very techie, and I don't really know enough to say for sure. But that's my point. And it seems like Luke Dasher has a bad rap because of like his religion and things that.
Why? What is his religion?
Catholic.
Based.
So it's like personal attacks seem to be the main issue with Luke Dasher.
That's right.
Matthew Krasser of Bitcoin University showed how Luke Dasher basically saved Bitcoin in like 2013. There's
who's on the
it's very
core
biased.
team?
This Gloria lady and a couple of other, I can't remember his name, like Sinibia or something. There's a really good debate on Bitcoin Not Crypto's channel from, it was basically a mechanic and someone else against someone. If you just go on Bitcoin Not Crypto,
I think I might have watched that one
knots,
actually.
and yeah, that's really good. I actually think I need to watch that again, because I think I've learned a lot more since watching that, and it will make a lot of things make more sense, which hopefully I can then explain as well. But yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of in some ways just thinking I might just need to like do more videos on this at the moment, because I just think it's so important.
Yeah.
And because the other thing as well, though, is just educating people, where if this worst thing was to happen, there'll be a ton of people that would just get spooked, and that'll be it. They'll be done with crypto. They'll be like, no, I'm not having anything to do with this. You know, if it becomes legal and things like that. Whereas, like I say, nothing has actually changed about Bitcoin. It's just our social perceptions. And yes, it is horrendous.
So it's basically, it's an optics issue rather than a technical issue.
Exactly. It's just a social issue. That is what's going to happen from if this does happen. But we are human beings.
But
Bitcoin
the
is
optics,
us, and
exactly, the PR
that can affect it massively.
If the PR, if it does dip and people jump ship, then that could be a threat, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I think the thing is as well to remember, I've had to remind myself of this in this past few weeks, is that the cat's out the bag now. People know how to create Bitcoin, and they know how to create this decentralized money. So even if Bitcoin was just to go, like, let's say it was to disappear, I'm not saying that it will, but it could just be recreated, and it would have to start from the ground up and all over again. But there's nothing stopping that.
The tech exists. The idea exists now. It's in reality.
Exactly. So that global free market that everyone has got their heads around and starting to envision, that doesn't mean that needs to be taken away. And really, that's the bigger thing.
The idea.
Exactly.
I'm just waiting for the PR, the demonization attacks to, like, Bitcoin is in the future. If they do get bad PR, imagine like we're going to be called like, you know, fiat phobes or something like, oh, are you fiat phobic? Don't tell me you use that Bitcoin. You don't use that Bitcoin, do you? Are you fiat phobic? You know, or like, are you anti, you know,
no one knows what fiat is, though. No one has a
that's
clue.
true. It won't be that.
Is.
It'll be like what would the word be? Like finance. Are you finophobic? Finance phobic? There'll be some crap going around like that to demonize Bitcoiners. You know.
Yeah, I mean that already exists.
Yeah,
most people already think that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I just think hardly anyone has given it enough time.
Do you deny true finance? You're a Bitcoiner. You deny true finance. How dare you?
You deny CBDCs that the government controls and can control your whole spend. How can you possibly do that?
Are you a CBDC denier? Oh my god, you are. Oh my god, you are a CBDC denier. Are you CBDC phobic? I can see it now. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yes.
Where
are we at? I've got to probably call it a day shortly. Actually, I think we've probably got a little bit left in this chapter. To be fair,
should we try and get to 0 to 1?
Where are we at?
Somewhere here.
Go for it. Yeah.
As the reduction in intergenerational inheritance has reduced the strength of the family as a unit, government's unlimited checkbook has increased its ability to direct and shape the lives of people, allowing it an increasingly important role to play in more aspects of individuals' lives. The family's ability to finance the individual has been eclipsed by the state's largesse, resulting in a declining incentives for maintaining a family. In a traditional society, individuals are aware that they will need children to support them in the future, and so will spend their healthy young years starting a family and investing in giving their children the best life possible. But if long-term investment in general is disincentivized, if saving is likely to be counterproductive as money depreciates, this investment becomes less profitable. Further, as politicians sell sell people the lie that eternal welfare and retirement benefits are possible through the magic of monetary printing press, the investment in a family becomes less and less valuable. Over time, the incentive to start a family declines, and more people end up leading single lives. More marriages are likely to break down as partners are less likely to put in the necessary emotional, moral, and financial investment to make them work, while marriages that do survive will likely produce fewer children. The well-known phenomenon of the modern breakdown of the family cannot be understood without recognizing the role of unsound money, allowing the state to appropriate many of the essential roles that the family has played for millennia, and reducing the incentive of all members of the family to invest in long-term familial relations. Substituting the family with government largesse has arguably been a losing trade for individuals who have partaken in it. Several studies show that life satisfaction depends on a large degree on establishing intimate, long-term familial bonds with a partner and children. Many studies also show that rates of depression and psychological diseases are rising over time as the family breaks down, particularly for women. Cases of depression and psychological disorders very frequently have family breakdown as a leading cause. It is no coincidence that the breakdown of the family has come about through the implementation of the economic teachings of a man who never had any interest in the long term, a son of a rich family that had accumulated significant capital over generations. Keynes was a libertine hedonist who wasted most of his adult life engaging in sexual relationships with children, including traveling around the Mediterranean to visit children's brothels. That's ironic compared to what we're just talking about. The guy who's created this whole financial system is actually the guy that does all this stuff that could has the potential to destroy Bitcoin. Whereas Victorian Britain was a low time preference society with a strong sense of morality, low interpersonal conflict, and stable families, Keynes was part of a generation that rose against these traditions and viewed them as a repressive institution to be brought down. It is impossible to understand the economics of Keynes without understanding the kind of morality he wanted to see in a society he increasingly believed he could shape according to his will. Freaking disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It actually makes me angry.
Yeah. I wonder, I need to look into this guy a little bit more, see what kind of like person he actually was. But by the sounds of it, he was a bit of a paedophile.
Whereas like everyone that likes Keynes, like that whole economics is like, yeah, no, it's how are you supposed to like help people when the depressions come and stuff? It's like, well, just don't get into that. I'm going to use that as a plug for my own channel as well, because
go for it.
This video here, that literally shows a lot of what he just said. Let me mute it. Go to about, or ideally just watch the Jack Mallers talk himself, where he literally says it.
Well, it's interesting that whole family thing. Like people, I know loads of people now who are saying, "Oh, well, we can't afford to have kids," kind of thing. So that's what he was saying there.
So go to about 8 minutes in, roughly, and you can see all the charts that Jack shows, and it's like literally 1971, boom, divorce, obesity, boom. Is it, all of this thing, children per woman, boom, declining.
Yeah,
it's when money is broken. This is what happens, and the point is, it's a morality thing. It's not a financial getting rich quick thing. Whereas most people see it as the latter.
Yeah, well, it said about whereas Victorian Britain was a low time preference society with a strong sense of morality, low interpersonal conflict, and stable families, Keynes was part of a generation that rose against these traditions and viewed them as repressive, whatever. But go back to the previous page where it talks about welfare. There was a bit in it where it said, further, as politicians sell people the lie that eternal welfare and retirement benefits are possible through the magic of money printing. Click on to the next page. Yeah, the investment in a family becomes less and less valuable. I was reading something the other day that basically says, that that welfare state in the UK is a magnet for people. People come here because they know there's a welfare state. They can get free money, free healthcare, free housing, free everything. So it's a magnet, right?
Whereas everyone
And
blames all these people that are coming in. It's like, it's not their fault.
well, I mean, dude, if it was me,
issue.
then I would be doing exactly the same thing. Don't get me wrong. And I would be doing exactly the same thing. But somebody said, people are thinking of, solutions to this issue. But if there was some kind of big economic crash and that welfare state got turned off because there's literally no money, there's no more free housing, no more free anything. It's almost like everything's crashed. The welfare magnet would be turned off, and it would sort the problem out because everybody that wants free shit would just leave.
Yeah.
Or potentially die off,
yeah.
which wouldn't be the best thing either. But it would be a solution that this person was saying online, that it would be not a solution, it would be a consequence of the economic crash.
That's it.
Whereas at the minute, as it says in this book, we've got a potentially, we've been lied to that there's this eternal welfare promise, but it's not eternal. It can't possibly be eternal.
No,
people are paying for it at some
I really
point.
worry we are about to find out. I think that's probably like my own personal biggest worry. Just because like my wife's parents and my parent, and that whole generation, maybe they'll be able to get through it without seeing it. But anyone that's coming up to that sort of age, anyone that's in like their 60s and stuff now, they are 100% going to get. They are in trouble. Like,
in what way? What do you mean?
Well, they'll realize
pensions and stuff.
Yeah, they'll realize they won't be being looked after, and they're not of working age anymore. To really go and do anything about it, sort of thing. So there'll be some people that will work 40, 50 years doing what they've been told, and then come to the end of their time to work and realize there's nothing there. And so what are they going to do? Like, so you're just going to have to carry on going, or what if health gets the better of you? Like, it's just it's so misleading. It's so misleading what they've done. But yeah, like what can you do?
Yeah.
Stack sats.
Buy Bitcoin.
Stay humble.
Buy Bitcoin. Stay humble, stack sats, I guess.
Oh dear.
What you can do is follow Bitcoin Straight Up YouTube channel on YouTube. You can follow the Road to One Bitcoin YouTube channel. And that's it.
Simple.
Thanks for listening. If anybody's made it 1 hour, 42 minutes in,
deserve a pat on the back.
There we go. Respect if you're still here. Should we call it a day?
Yeah.
All right then, brother. I will see you next time, and we will continue cracking on.
Cheers. See you next time.